Hi everyone, welcome to the season finale of RachReflects Season 1. I can't believe we're here. It's been almost 6 months of weekly episodes. What a crazy time. But before we go into reflections on Season 1 so far, I'm so happy and so honored to have guests with me today on the show. Hi! Before we begin, I just want to also say that this is a very special episode where we will have a very interesting lineup of some quizzes, games, and of course, some reflection time together. I'm going to give the time to my guests to introduce themselves to you and their relationship with the RachReflects podcast and show. So let's go, Sue. Hi.
I'm Sue Sunita. I've been the biggest fangirl of Rach for the longest time from Love Bonito. But what I really liked about Rach was the way she connected with the community, especially women. I was going through my own journey, and what connected me was an episode you had with Roxy Fuzi on manifestation.
Yes.
I was deeply into that at that moment.
Yes.
And I never left you ever since.
Oh, thank you. So that was like on IG Live, and then we had a
Yes.
Zoom session with
Yes.
Roxy Fuzi on Manifest, right? Do you get her book too?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Sue.
Diana here. I want to say I'm a self-acclaimed first listener every Tuesday morning for RachReflects. But to be fair, I think I started because Rachel asked me to listen. I'm not particularly the most reflective person, but you know, through the many Tuesday mornings, I've been a bit more reflective. I've been reading the books of the guest, and it's been very helpful for me. So I'm happy to be here.
Yay. And I can't wait to hear what are your favorite episodes and key takeaways. Okay, Jess.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I've been a customer of Love Bonito for 6 years, and also, of course, I follow Rach as well. And I think when I started listening to RachReflect was actually at the start of my career break as well. So it was a deep reflection journey for myself, and how actually I learned through every episode, working on my personal development as well. And it's been very meaningful that, I really share all my notes with all my friends and my family, even talk to my husband about it. A very tremendous kind of change in my life to be journeying together.
Oh, how are you going to beat that, Brendan? But hi, Brendan.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Brendan. I consider myself the OG of RachReflects because as early as season 0, so way before season 1, I was always the one kind of helping Rach on Zoom.
Yes.
So some people might kind of
Recognize
see my face or my name. The biggest moment for us was when you kind of landed Adam Grant, and that was so big for the show. Obviously after that, I've been continuing following, and I feel I have no choice since I'm part of the OG crew, so I have to watch it. But I
He
really
has a
enjoy
gun
it.
pointed to his
I
head.
really enjoy it, and it's something that I look forward to every Tuesday morning. And I'm here to win.
Yes. So the first part of the segment, the special segment today, is that we're going to go into quizzes and games. We're going to see how big of a fan they are. So how this works is, there's a buzzer in front of 2 of you. If you know the answer, or even before I complete the sentence, you know what I'm going to ask, you can be the first to put your hands on it. There will be, some of us that will be helping to take scores. So obviously the winner will walk away with pride and glory. I hope that's better. Brendan looks a bit disappointed, but yes, we're going for pride and glory today. So are you ready?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so there's also multiple choice, I will offer you multiple choice options if you need to, but let's see how good they are. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Now, the first question is, the first question is,
Negative point.
no, okay.
Will to win.
It's the will to win, yeah. So no negative points, but of course then you miss your turn. Okay. So we learned this in one of the episodes, and maybe the clue is that it's more recent, okay? So external triggers, the pings, the dings, and the rings, account for how many percentage of our distractions? So if you need a clue, this is by Nia Ayal. Okay.
Yeah.
So external triggers, the pings, the dings, and the rings account for how many percentage of our distractions? Option 1, 1%. Option 2, 10%. Option 3, 30%. Option 4, 50%. Let's go. Okay,
50.
so 50 is wrong. Go, Brendan.
Option 3.
Option 3, 30% is wrong.
Option 2.
Yes, 10%.
Well, terrible.
Yes, okay, so the first point goes to Diana. Okay, warming up. Are you guys ready? Okay?
Wow.
The next question. Who said this? I learn by doing. Yes, so knowing what my learning proclivity and style is, I find it easier to learn by doing a lot of things today. You know, we're always trying out new stuff, whether you're trying out a new product, a new experience. So who said this? Was it Bill Burnett? So is it Crystal Lim, Langa, Jim Quick, or Sushan?
Sushan.
Yes! Awesome. Okay, maybe there's some power sitting beside me, but yes, 1 point to Jess. Brendan, are you still there? What happened to you're here to win? Okay, now anyways,
How many questions are there? By the way? So I know how
there are
let's have a chance.
there are 10 questions.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, I should have. Okay, so he wants to be the what do you call it?
Come from the
Yeah, dark house. Okay. The third question is, what concept are we referring to when we hope to achieve our dreams, stepping into the unknown, but sometimes we are crippled by our fear? So what is the exercise that we can do other than goal setting?
fear setting.
Yeah! Awesome, Brandon. Welcome back.
No MCQ.
No, he just has that, but still 1 point.
Yeah.
So 1-1-1. Sue, come on.
Oh, yes.
Okay, next one. Okay, when things go well, don't let it get to your blank. When things don't go well, don't let it get to your blank. Yes, Sue first, right? Okay, now everyone's back in the game, so 1 point each. Okay, so which episode featured this quote? And a special bonus point if you can guess who said it, who's the person that said it. Okay, so which episode as in the number, the numerical number.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So there is multiple choice if you really need, but okay, anyways, okay. And one of the biggest lessons is learning to admire someone's gifts without questioning my own. So which episode number and who said it?
You said it, but
Okay.
I don't know the number.
Just make a guess. So let's say
How many total episodes right now?
we just finished 19 with Joyce, my coach.
16.
Okay, 16 is wrong, but much right. Go,
I
Brenda.
was going to say 15.
15 is wrong. We're almost
14.
there. You have to press the buzzer. Go.
It's you. It's the episode of Shushan.
No.
No! 14
14.
is wrong!
Half mark each.
Half my each, yes. 1.5.
1.5. Next one also is who said this? Okay? If there's a thermometer on the wall, oh my gosh.
Jim Quick.
Yeah! Super! Bonus point if you know the episode number.
Oh.
5.
That Jim Quick, come on. It was 8! Exactly! 8! Amazing! We're on to question 7. Who said this? Everybody's trying to be amazing and everything else, and that's fine. But you get to amazing by starting out doing something really simple. So maybe a clue is this guest, was also on one of my Zoom sessions.
Bill Burnett.
Yeah! Diana is just like, again. With 3 points, Brandon is in the lead. We're on to question 8. In episode 10 of Rach Reflects, which was one of my first solo episodes, I introduced and reviewed a book. What book was it?
So easy.
You see, come on, don't. That's showing off.
The Coaching Habit, Michael Bangay Stania.
Wow, deserve extra points.
Perfect, right? Awesome. Brendan, wow.
I
Very
deserve a seat at the table, yeah?
Impressive. Impressive.
Huh?
Yeah, I deserve a seat at the table.
Deserve a seat at the table indeed. Yes. Question 9. Episode 16 featured myself and Leo as we celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary. Advice number 3 says, learning to articulate my blank instead of expecting him to be a blank reader. What are the 2 blanks? Who's that? Sue?
Feelings.
Okay, feelings. And instead of expecting him to be a... Mine. Okay, 1 wrong. Go, Dinah.
Thoughts and mind.
Thoughts and mind. 1 wrong. Mine is correct. Come on. Learning to articulate my blank instead of expecting him to be a mind reader is correct. So, perspectives, no. Needs. So how? Okay, Ken. 2 of them go have a point.
1.5.
So it's needs and mind. And then the bonus point is mention one other tip or advice in that episode with Leo and myself on our lessons on marriage.
I can't remember the lesson per se, but
Yeah.
I remember what you guys spoke about Michelle Obama. About marriage is not 50-50. You can be at 70-30.
Yeah! You're just claiming it. Yes! One full point to Diana. The final question.
2 points.
2 points.
Let's go.
In episode 13 with work bestie Crystal, she said empathy must be balanced with
Boundaries.
yeah! So points to 3.5, and the winner is
It's me.
Congrats. How do you feel? Well deserved.
I feel proud and glorious.
Please do
as you
not.
promised, Yeah.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to move on to the second segment now on reflections. So we're going to head into the second part of the show where we're going to do some reflections collectively. One of the reasons why I started Rach Reflects was also to, bring together the community, to learn together, to grow together, to reflect together. And at the same time, hopefully we raise our levels of consciousness and awareness as human beings. So I personally am so excited for this part where, I get to hear from the guests today, what their favorite episodes have been, what are their lessons, key takeaways, and also we'll talk a little bit about who or what topics they'd like to see more of in the next season. So let's start with an easy one. Okay, everybody, can we share who's your favorite guest and what's your favorite episode? Don't have to share why first, but yes, maybe we'll start with Brendan, the winner.
Oh, so both episodes where Leo appeared.
Really?
Those are my favorites.
Really?
I'm not going to explain why.
Oh man, I regret saying that. Oh man, but yes, I think overwhelmingly, I was honestly very surprised. Overwhelmingly, the episodes with Leo was like heads and shoulders in viewerships. Tops everyone else. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Okay, Jess.
I actually like the Ask Me Anything. I mean, I attended
yes.
in person as well, and I felt it was very powerful to share with the audience as well because it's very interactive. Yeah, and I also enjoyed the Carla Harris episode.
Yes.
And the latest episode from Crystal as well.
Yeah. The latest episode from Crystal where she talked about
the
three
brains.
intelligences.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, Diana.
For me, similar with Jess,
Mhm.
it's Carla.
Yes.
And because I remember like the first...
You didn't even know what to expect,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, because I didn't know who she was. And I remember whenever I listened to your podcast, it's always playing in the background.
Yeah.
But Carla, I remember specifically, I wanted to watch her. I don't know why.
Wow.
Watched her. And I remember I paused the episode halfway and I text you, WOW. She's just wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 days is
Amazing.
still wow.
Yeah, and I think Carla Harris has been someone that I personally enjoyed speaking to the most. I felt like time flew by so quickly and I was just absorbing all her energy and convictions, especially when she spoke about leadership, being a woman, when she spoke about balance, marriage, kids. So if you haven't heard the episode with Carla Harris, you should definitely check it out. Sue.
For me, it's been Jim Quick and Shushan. I think a lot of things they say. I'm in the season of learning, especially because I have 2 young daughters and I'm teaching them how to learn as 7-year-old and 9-year-old girls, just starting primary school rather. So it's been very inspirational and learning journey for me with these 2, and me and my husband are learning with them, and that's been the most the episodes that resonated with me in this
Amazing.
season.
Yeah. Jim and Sushan. So Jim, he's like every sentence or everything he says is like a quotable quote.
Yes.
It's amazing. And I have a secret to share about Jim Quick. So what happened was we had set a time to get on a call and a Zoom recording, right? So I had thought that it was okay, the proper recording, everything's gonna happen. And he had thought briefed by his assistant that, okay, this is just an introductory call to get to know Rachel and Rach Reflects. So he was already considerably unprepared. So when I went in, I was so prepared, I was ready. I'll say, I was like, Jim, I'm so excited to speak to you today, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, wait, is this the real thing? I was like, yes. How much time do you have? Are you willing to do it? Because I'm so afraid of letting the opportunity go because that they're so busy. I'm not sure if I can ever catch them again. So he was so spontaneous. So Dream was an episode that I had recorded months ago. When we launched it, I was so surprised at the response and like how people say they really resonated with it so much. And even for Leo, who, he is usually not that excitable, but he got so excited that he went to read the book and things like that. Okay, moving on to the next question is, was there a particular guest's perspective that left a lasting impression or impact on you?
Yeah, I think for me it was the Carla Harris one, right? So I think specifically also because, she got us in general to kind of rethink imposter syndrome, right? Where, we've been talking about it for 30, 40 years, right? We're still talking about it.
Yes.
And then kind of, switching gears a little bit and talking about how, if you're there, there's a reason you're there, right? If you don't have confidence in yourself, cling on to the confidence of the people who put you there, right? Your bosses, your peers or whoever, the people around you. So it was really quite impactful for me because I guess like in my day job, I am a manager as well. You know, it was also sharing this with what was so useful nugget to share directly, right? So timestamp it, you know, here from here to here. I'm not able to say it as eloquently to you, but this is what I mean. So I shared it across to one of my team members, and it was quite impactful.
Wow.
So to me, like that was a really like, you know, really a mindset or paradigm shift.
Yeah. But I remember when I asked her that question, you know, Carla, do you experience imposter syndrome? She was almost telling me, she said, I can't believe we're still talking about this 30 years later. Imposter syndrome was something that was already brought up 30 years ago when I was a young manager, and till today, we must have failed if we are still addressing this issue. And then she went on to say, right, I think, like what Brendan said, I think what really hit me hard about what she shared was that she said, if you don't have enough confidence for yourself to believe in yourself, then you cling on to the people around you who believe in you to get you to where you are today. When she shared about imposter syndrome was also that, you know, even if you fail, well, failure brings the gift of experience. Don't be afraid of it. And I think so many of us, we tend to be paralyzed by the fear of, you know, oh, what if I don't do well? What if I fail? What if I disappoint? But I think to reframe it, that it really brings the gift of experience, and we can only become stronger if we want to. So thanks for sharing. Jess.
I think, I think Carla's episode definitely, but I think I want to talk about young Pablo. Yes. I think one of the takeout is that, you know, healing is possible. And I think that is so meaningful. I think today around all my friends, a lot of them don't believe the concept of healing. They think, because especially in Asian culture, right? You talk about healing, you feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm sick.
Taboo,
Yes, but it's actually not. So every one of us have something to heal, even from our childhood or even from, you know, generational trauma, you know, how we're brought up, you know, inherit from our parents. So healing is something that is a constant practice in our daily lives. And then I think it's the power of believing that you can actually heal. You don't have to be 100% ready to start something. You know, he was not a writer, but he just go ahead to share, you know. I think that's something, you know, I think Bill Burnett mentioned as well, right? We can start from very, very tiny and small habits, but it's your daily habits actually change, you know, tremendous, you know, life changes in your life. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. And I'm so grateful that we have speakers like Young Pueblo and even the holistic psychologist, Dr. Nicole LaPera, where she talks so much about trauma, our woundings, you know, especially our conditioning from young. And these are terms that I would say is still a little bit taboo or intimidating to this part of the world that we live in. So I think to have them come to share openly also, you know, to open our minds and expand our consciousness on these terms, and actually they're not that scary after all. And I think all of us are on this healing journey individually, you know, in our relationships as well. So that was really powerful. Diana.
Almost every guest, I would say, even though it's playing at the background, right, most of the time, I realized that they talk about very reminders. Sometimes they may talk about very big terms, right? Technical terms, and then sometimes you have to pause and like, okay, I have to pay attention. But I think all the guests, they pretty much talk about things that we all know. And it's just very, very good reminders and very easy to apply thereafter. So I love that about every single episode.
Thank you. I think it's so important because sometimes we just go through our days unintentionally. And I think it's so helpful that we have all these speakers also bring surfacing again important reminders for us to be mindful of or live by. And I think what's comforting is also to know at the end of the day that we're not that different. They go through experiences that we ourselves also struggle through and go through. So yeah. And how about for yourself, Sue?
So for me, I go back to Jim Quick again. I think what resonated with me was one quote he said, which was, between the letter B, C, and D, B is birth, and D is death, and C is choice. It's the choices you make daily that can really make a difference to your whole life. And that reminds me almost every single task or thing I do in the day, how I interact with work, my children, my family, my husband. Is this the choice that I'm making on that interaction? Like every morning you have a chance and a choice, and how you want to use that chance and choice is life, right? That has been very impactful for me. And he goes on saying that you're stronger and smarter than you think, and to have that beliefs and that word I am, which is so powerful because I mentor quite a lot of young women in that are as young as primary 6 girls and women leaving NUS, new graduates. And a lot of times they use this word I am shy. I am not so confident.
Mm.
And it's very powerful because
Yeah.
if you switch that word,
Yeah.
you become the opposite.
Yes.
So this has been quite impactful for me.
Wow.
Mm.
And I love to that point what Jim says that our external words actually become our internal voice.
Yeah.
And that has also helped me to be more mindful of what I say to myself and also what I say to whether it's Leo or even Ollie, right? Because I think we internalize it whether subconsciously or consciously.
Absolutely.
So, okay, and the next question that we want to reflect upon is, have you found yourself applying the perspective or the lesson that we learned in the episodes, and how has that impacted you?
Yeah, in fact, many of the episodes, right? I think even before your the season, like I mentioned earlier, manifestation, being reader, how readers are leaders, how Shushan mentions to learn, relearn, and unlearn,
Yeah.
which is so important. So it's definitely impacted my life, impacted the way I have a relationship with my husband, in things we do together now, so that we can implement this together as a family, because it really starts at home for us, at least.
What's one example of the things that you and your husband Kaiser now do together?
Read
Wow.
at least 1 page a day, if not 5.
Amazing. So like you set time at night before bed?
Either night, in the morning, anytime, right? And one thing we implement with my daughters are mini goals. So
Yes.
we've taken this out of context a little bit, and we have like a little booklet where we do a mini goal to reach their major goal at the end of the year. And in the beginning of the month, we all write our mini goals, which is reading is definitely one of them. Like Jim mentioned, and I'm going back to Jim again, it's the habits of, sleeping,
Yes.
movement,
Yeah.
and reading. And these 3 things we try to implement in our goals,
Wow.
from exercise to reading and sleeping well.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
we've implemented that with the
Wow.
family.
And it's all about building habits.
Absolutely.
That, right? That change our
Absolutely.
systems.
Like what I really like about every episode is about how everybody talks about a different superpower. And that's been a huge reflection for us as well. They're all similar actually,
Yeah.
just differently
Yes.
put.
Yes, and different perspective and experience
Exactly.
into it. How about yourself, Diana? Were there any particular perspective that you applied that
I
transformed?
think similar with Sue, the gym, like the movement, the sleep, and
Yeah.
the reading. It really makes me more conscious, and especially the latest episode, Young Pebble.
Yes.
I think again what Jess said about looking inward
Mm.
and being mindful about the words that I use. And so I've been a bit, or at least I try to be a bit more careful. Like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, I'm not the most reflective person, but I finished reading his book, Design
Yeah.
Your Life.
Bill, yes.
Correct, Bill.
Yeah.
So I do intend to
Awesome.
get his book and reread again, so I can
Awesome.
apply at the same time.
Yes, Bill Burnett is actually going to fly down personally with his team of coaches to be able to run through the activities and exercises with us. So I'm so excited for that. Thanks for sharing, Diana. How about for yourself, Jess?
I have a little bit more of sharing. I think it's Crystal's episode of Three Brains. I had an aha moment because people know that I took a career break when I was 39, which was a very scary and big decision. I think to people around me, it would just be like, oh, she just want a year off. But there's so much happening within me. It was a very scary decision at the beginning. I didn't know what is happening with me, but I just felt that I was not performing. Yeah, and I was actually handling a teenager and a toddler at the same time in a household. I think I did 3 things. Number 1, I just started journaling and manifesting. So that started from every month until now, probably every day. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I think it really helped me to validate that actually you have all the answers already. It's really just breaking the barrier between you and your answer, and you trust and believe that the answer is true. That's number 1. Number 2, I went to a friend. She's a certified KonMari consultant, which is about letting go. So I talked to her. I said, I have this thought that I want to resign. I want to take a break. I don't know what's happening in my head or my heart. She actually set the tone for me to really help me to let go in my heart or what are the fears, for example, right? And what is the worst that can happen? And she really helped me to actually sort out that part to let go. And number 3 is on the head part. I went to a friend of mine. She is country head of a recruitment firm. So I tell her that, hey, is it risky to resign at 39? Will I still have market value after that? She told me, no, look at your CV. It's fine. Go and have your career break. It's okay. Hold strong of your anchor. So that's something that really hold me very, very strong. During the career break and even going forward when I want to look for another job. If you want to take a career break, this is the process probably you want to do. And these are the tribes. These are the people you need to go to. Find each one of them to validate your feelings so that you're not scared anymore.
actually we all have the answers within us. It's
Yeah.
really also taking the time to be aware, be honest, and to confront the truths of what
Yeah.
we're really
Yeah.
feeling and going through. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you, Jess. Brandon.
I hate coming after. After
How
Jasmine.
you gonna be there?
Yeah, maybe start from this side.
Major
No, I've never taken a career break. No, like to be honest, I've stolen so much material. Right, I've stolen so much material, and when I say steal, I mean it. I guess in a good way,
Yeah.
right? But I've taken so much from the podcast, right? Both in I guess my personal life as well as specifically with work as well. In your episode, Nia, obviously Nia talks about time boxing and stuff like that. But I guess time boxing was always something that I was really kind of like doing in my life. I live and die by my cal. I find myself doing it a lot more consciously, right? So I set aside time for my morning rituals, which is super important to me before I start work, right? So that's kind of time blocked out. Time spent with my wife Sheetal, that's blocked out as well. And on Nia's point in terms of spontaneity, right? Even though you kind of don't know what you're gonna do, but at least you know what you're not gonna do, right?
Yes.
So you're not gonna touch your phone, you're not gonna watch TV or
Yeah.
things like that. So that was quite helpful personally. Professionally, I guess in your episode of Joyce, I've stolen the zones of genius versus zones of excellence.
And Brandon came up with his own matrix. He redid the
I
entire
went to
matrix.
redo the thing because I thought it was more applicable. Yeah, and of course, the one with Michael Bungay Stania in terms of your questions to ask. So what I'm trying to do, I guess, in the work sense, is kind of like build up a small kind of career coaching or kind of like, manager's toolkit kind of thing, right?
Nice.
Where we can kind of, where managers can essentially know the right way to address any kind of topic that comes up to them, right? Is it a question? Is it a want? Is it a feedback or things like that? So personally for me, that's been super helpful, right? Because I'm kind of building up my own kind of blueprint there. Yeah.
That's amazing. And when Brandon shares with me the resources or his notes, we need to really form a community where we can share the notes like that, because what he came up with is so helpful. Like even I would steal it, So the next question I'm so curious is also, did any particular episode spark conversations or discussions with your partner, your team member, and how did those discussions go?
I think one from Carla is that we are multifaceted.
Yes.
You think about which version of you is going to be productive. Recently in my company that we're doing appraisals, right? I think I share a lot with my team that, my team members ask me, how can I grow as a leader? And how do I prepare for meetings, for example, or even to be more presentable? I think I really tell them that for me, every time before I walk into a meeting, I spend about 30 seconds or 1 minute. You think about what kind of energy I want to bring into this meeting.
So you set your intentions.
Yes. So every morning I will go through a list of my meetings and I will set intentions of which side of me or what is my intention in this meeting. I walk in with that energy and I will set it right. So this is a really quick tip. It doesn't take you very long. It's very, very effective. I actually brief this to my team members and I feel that in weekly reviews, they present it much better. They're much more confident. They know that, okay, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So it's like a very quick affirmation. Make sure that the energy you bring in resonates to the people that sits in the meeting. Yeah.
And Diana?
Actually, yesterday when I was in the office,
Yeah.
I have a colleague who was going to interview a candidate.
Mm.
So I was like, hey, I remember the Carla Harris episode. I thought there was one interview question that she had was very, very interesting, which was kind of similar to how you would actually ask what is your strength and what's your
Yes.
weakness, right? But she
She
rephrased
rephrased
it and she asked, how would your high school best friend or your worst enemy describe you in
Yes.
3 or 1
Yes.
word or something? So I
Yes.
thought that was such an interesting perspective. And I told her, I think if you want to find out that person's personality, ask her that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I thought that was quite
Yeah, I love how she rephrased that, right? She said, how would your high school best friend describe you? And if you're in the same room and they're both sitting beside you, what would they both say about you? So that was such an interesting way of reframing the usual, what I'm good at, what I'm weak at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing. So how about for yourself?
For me, it's about what Shushan said about prioritizing time in buckets.
Yes.
So I work with my partner and we have a lot of parent
You
guilt.
work with your partner who
Husband.
happens to be your
Who
husband.
happens to be my husband.
Yeah.
We have a lot of parent guilt because we are on the road together. We're doing a lot of things together, but we learn that we prioritize our buckets,
Yeah.
like what Shushan said,
Mm.
and we do it together.
Mm.
What's really important, what's not, and then we don't feel as guilty about it.
Yeah.
We are very open to asking for help.
Mm.
That's something we both practice together, not to be afraid to ask for that help. And we help other parents who are doing things like we're doing in our day-to-day life,
Yeah.
because we can't have it all. So we share that with a lot of our peers who either work together or not, that we meet, and who are always like, my child, or I need to run home, how we share our experience. And it's helped a lot of our friends and parents.
Awesome. Brandon?
Yeah. So for me, I think, just bring us back to in the Rach and Leo episode. There's the second one, right, where marriage tips. We share about marriage tips. So I watched the episode. My wife watched the episode separately. I said, okay, when we're home, we'll watch it together again. Right. So let's review and then let's discuss. Right. So one of the points that that Diana answered correctly was the marriage is 50-50 one, right? And so that was a big point that we started discussing. And then we discussed it a little bit, and then it was quite sobering because she said. And I checked with her, so I know I can share this. But she said, at best you're 50. Even though it's supposed to be like 70-30, 30-70, right? But it's like at best you're 50. You've never been even 51. So I was like, okay, let me see how I can take this forward, right? Then of course, in the episode we talked about it, kind of just rechecking, your love languages as well, right? So hers has consistently been acts of service. So then I made a concerted effort to show love through the acts of service, and I guess there's a parallel in between Rach and Leo. You fill up the mouthwash cup, which I feel is not very hygienic. But anyway, so we don't do that, but we make sure that whoever leaves the house first fills up the water bottle of whoever else is.
So you one up us.
Yeah. So yesterday I checked in. My wife. Since the time of the episode, have there been instances where I've been above 50? And I think she reluctantly said yes. So you see, it's literally translated into actual impact and improvement in my quality of life and her quality of life.
Okay, your actual quality of life and marriage. I'm so glad. But thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And maybe as a final reflection before we go into, if you have any questions for me, what is one of your favorite quotes or most memorable quotes so far, if any?
For me, it was Shushan. When you asked her about her marriage with her husband. It's not your typical answer where they talk about communication.
Yeah. Although that's important.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, I think I was expecting that. But she said laugh a lot.
Yes.
And
Humor, right?
yeah, exactly. So I think that was the biggest takeaway. I just got married in May. So, constantly reminding, not that I need to laugh, that. And he has been making me laugh since then.
He makes us laugh too.
Exactly. So, but of course, it can't just be a one-way thing, right?
Yeah.
So I also
reciprocate.
Exactly. So
Amazing.
I think it's doing well.
Awesome. Yeah, I laugh a lot. I think that was something Suchan has always believed in with Chris, her husband. So
For me, Shishan as well. Learn, relearn, unlearn. In every episode, I've been implementing that. Yeah. It's been so powerful for me.
And I think what's so powerful is also that we recognize that we have maybe, old beliefs or dysfunctional beliefs.
I like what you said about
the illiterate of the 21st century. It's not someone who can't read or write, but someone who can't learn, unlearn, relearn. So so glad we're on this journey together. Brandon.
Yeah, I have so many from Jim Quick, but I decided to go with another one.
Wow.
So this I heard it first from you, but I think you can probably attribute it to somebody else. But anyways, you can choose to be bitter or you can choose to be better, right? And that really draws so much parallel, I guess, with the thermostat and thermometer analogy as well, right? Where everything that you want in your life is up to you to decide, right? And you have and you have the final deciding factor. So you can choose to be bitter or you can choose to be better.
Yeah. Are you telling for those of them who lost to you in the quiz?
So I'll see you all in finale, season 2 finale.
Yeah, you all can choose to be bitter or better by losing to Brandon. So
better.
Better. But thank you. Yeah, I think that's one I really also remind myself all the time.
I'll have to go back to Carla. The way to grow your power is to give it away.
Yes.
Always share. I think not everyone is very like a socially driven. Not many people really instantly post on social media, but I think it's really important that when you have takeaways, share all your notes and then
share all your notes. Brandon, she's talking about you. Share your
notes, share your takeaways. Talk about it with your team, with your friends, or even with your husband. I think it's important because by the way that you actually talk about it, you reflect it again, and then you will have new thoughts towards it. I think it's very important to share.
In that particular reference that Jess said, I think when she said, right, the way to own and grow your power is to give it away. And then I remember asking her next, how do I own my power? And what she said really was like jaw-dropping for me. She said, by recognizing that you have the power. We always think that, everyone else is powerful, is this and that, except ourselves. But to first and foremost be aware and recognize that there's so much power within us to do, to spread, to share. So thanks for sharing. Okay, we're going to move on to the last segment. I'm also curious, if you have any particular questions for me based on, season 1 or anything that I've done with RachReflects so far. So who wants to go?
When is Leo coming back for our next episode?
Leo. At the get-together sessions, everybody like, oh, is Leo, where's Leo? Or like, oh, my favorite episode is with Leo. And it's so encouraging in a sense, especially when I get encouragement and feedback from men.
Yeah.
And they say, like, whether in person or written, they will tell me, like, it's so amazing to be heard, to be seen and to be heard, and to have a perspective of a fellow man, you know? And I think that's something that, which is also why I encourage Leo to come out to share. You know, Leo, he's so private. He's even more camera shy back then than all of you. But I think when he started to also get this feedback, he realizes that, okay, you know, there is value that I can bring to the table. So yeah, I think that's been so encouraging for us. So especially now knowing that Brandon is 51, maybe, you know, in his marriage he's 51.
Kaiser's looking forward to Leo Reflects.
Leo says he has Leo laments. But anyways, yeah, Leo, we'll find out. Stay tuned to season 2.
Mine is more because I'm so excited for season 2.
Yeah.
I think because when you started, because podcast is not, like the duration of the podcast was one of your concerns because it's like, can't be too long.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with all the guests, you can't really squeeze in 30 minutes. So I'm just thinking or just asking, wondering if you would, you know, intend to extend that.
Part of the goal of having a podcast was also for me to introduce slowly, you know, this notion of learning via podcast, watching and listening. And I wanted to offer it in a bite-sized manner. I know that especially in this part of Asia where we live in, most of us are not as used to, you know, listening to podcasts or learning via podcasts. So, and I realized also that in America it's a lot more acceptable because they started long ago. They are much more mature. And also that their drive and their commute on the road is much longer. So in Singapore, where the commute is where most people start listening or watching podcasts, it's usually maybe like 20, 30 minutes.
I was just going to say, your timing fits a commute.
Actually. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, definitely open to slowly moving the needle just to stretch that out. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Any interesting guests for season 2, if you can share?
Leo? Is it considered? He has no choice. But no, but I think, honestly,
or the team for season 2. Like this was a bit work related.
Yes.
I realized.
Yes. This one was a lot on leadership and you know, with work bestie, a lot of work related. Because my heart is also really for a lot of young working adults and myself included, where we face a lot of like, how do I know when to leave a job? How do I know if this is right for me? Or how do I give a hard feedback when I need to? I think, you know, one of the things that I found I wish I had addressed more on the topic is maybe more on parenthood. I think it's huge. And especially for me in this season also, for me, my Leo and myself, I would love to be able to, you know, explore more on this topic of parenthood, what it means, you know, and the dynamics that change, especially with our marriage. So I think that would be really interesting. You know, one of the very first few thought leaders alongside Jim Quick that have helped me tremendously in my journey over the past decade is Jim Collins along with John Maxwell. And I have reached out to them countless of times. And, you know, Jim personally finally responded and he said, I'm so impressed by your persistence. And it's going to be so hard to say no, but I'm in the midst of writing my next book, you know, and let's take it again at the end of the year when I have a downtime. So we'll see how that goes. I think Jim Collins is one amazing like lecture style kind of teacher. Adam Grant is also someone like that. The other one that I thought was amazing, like they're so rich in their head knowledge and heart knowledge, but able to present so well, is actually Dr. Nicole LePera, like the holistic psychologist. She was able to break down such big, complex concepts into very tangible, bite-sized, easily accessible terms. So yeah, I think that's also something I will go into season 2 being more mindful of.
When are you going to bring Dr. Gabor Mate?
Dr. Gabor.
Please.
Yeah, so after my session with Dr. Gabor last year, end of last year, which was end of 2022, actually Dr. Gabor is someone, as you know, I've had so much learnings from him.
Me too. That episode was
amazing.
Wow, it's just like mind-blowing.
Yes. I also reached out to him again, you know, for season 2 to see how it'll go. He's definitely on board, so it's really just finding the right time. And I think that will be an episode I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, Dr. Gabor, if you haven't checked out his episode, it's on YouTube. It's one of, I would say, the most mind-blowing episodes for me personally.
I've been preaching my parents and in-laws about what he talked about. You know, for example, you know, they have the right to say no. You know, they know how to say no before they learn how to say yes. It's so powerful.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Especially that time was a phase where Ollie was just saying no to everything, you know, and It's like if you think about it, the human instinct, that's what comes naturally to us. So
yeah.
already knowing to draw boundaries, but along the way, because of our conditioning, our childhood wounds, people like me end up being a people pleaser, for example, and then having to recover from it years later. So I think, that was so powerful. Yeah.
Another question.
Yes.
When can we have more of an in-person Rach Reflects?
Yeah.
Or even outside of Singapore?
Yeah, I know. I would love to. Ever since I did 2 get-togethers this year for the community in Singapore, I realized how much I love in-person sessions and how much I really thrive on the energy of the community.
Yeah.
Which is why actually when I started the podcast, the end goal wasn't to have a podcast show. I think for me, it was just a platform that I can start sharing my learnings and lessons with the thought leaders, that I've been privileged to be able to speak to. The angle was actually that I hope that, I would eventually also have a show with live audience because it makes so much difference. The energy is so different and you get live questions also. And I think that's something I would love to work towards. We get a lot of listeners also and viewers from like Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, who also ask, for like in-person events. So we'll see. I still have a full-time job, so we'll need to see how that goes.
Who's been your favorite guest so far?
Wow. I feel like that's asking who's my favorite child. Wow, very hard. Like almost after every recording, I'll be like, wow, I learned so much. I really appreciate so much from the different guests. But I guess what really spoke to me in this particular season I'm in, the guest is, I would say is Dr. Nicole and Carla Harris. Especially for Carla Harris, she reframed so much for me, the meaning of leadership and like even individualism when it comes to leadership and how she talked about we're all multifaceted individuals. You don't necessarily always have to fit to a certain mold, to just own all of yourself. And more importantly, to give it away. And I think that's something that has been instrumental for me. What she shared about imposter syndrome, like what Brandon brought up also, I think was so timely for me, right? I mean, if you look at your thoughts and your doubts when it comes to imposter syndrome, think about it objectively. Like, what are you truly afraid of, right? You've done it before, you can do it again. You may not know all the answers, but you can believe in your ability to learn. And lastly, so what if you fail? Because failure brings the gift of experience. So I think when you address all the doubts head on like that, you realize that, wow, okay, it's not that intimidating after all. So I think Carla Harris for me. Dr. Nicole was just like, wow, right? I always remember she said that we are conditioned until we awaken. And I think for me, as I always say, just don't go through life, but grow through life. And I think a lot of it is recognizing our past conditionings, our past woundings, to slowly peel off the layers and then, make a choice to be better. And I think that's something that I really took away very deeply. Yeah, but I think all in all, I can't believe we did it, 6 months, weekly episodes. People were saying, are you crazy, And I felt like I was crazy because Leo was also like, you have a full-time job, you have a son, a toddler, you have a husband, and I realized that then I must be really passionate about this because the time that I spend on Rach Reflects is usually off working hours, especially because the speakers are also based, on the other side of the world. So the interviews happen like either 6 a.m., 7 a.m. or 11 p.m., 12 a.m. So Rach Reflects is really born out of an Odyssey plan that I did from Designing Your Life with Bill Burnett. And I shared that more in the book review episode, which is coming up. But by the time you watch this, would have already come out. So for me, I'm really excited to continue to be able to journey with all of you and the community to see how the episodes have made impacts, however small or big. It's so encouraging. So thank you so much for being a part of this with me. And I'm looking forward to season 2. And thank you so much for all of you who are watching. I know it's been such a joy and privilege for me to be able to do this alongside with all of you. And if you have any questions, feedback for me, please feel free to also just leave it in the comments section wherever you're watching from. And also would love for you to be able to, especially when we go on a break, right? Before season 2 begins, if you have also been curious about the episodes that Brandon, Jess, Diana, and Sue have shared, it'll be a good time to visit them or revisit them in the episode 2. So thank you so much. And this brings us to the end of Rach Reflects Season 1. It's been a real joy and privilege, and I have personally learned and grown so much. I hope to see you again, hopefully in January for Season 2 of Rach Reflects. So see you. Bye.